Hey everyone, my name is Jacques. Today I'm going to talk to you about how I study kanji. As anyone who has studied Japanese before will tell you, easily the most difficult and time-consuming part of learning the language is learning how to read and write kanji, or Chinese characters. Note that while I am personally studying for the highest level of the JLPT, the N1, that does not mean that this video is only aimed at other people studying for N1. I think that Japanese learners of all different levels can benefit from the techniques and strategies that I will show in this video. And yeah, I hope you will take something from it no matter what your level is. Although I've been studying Japanese for the better part of 6 years now, it's actually been only in the past few months that I've really gotten down a system where I'm able to learn quickly and retain new kanji that I'm learning. And because this strategy has been working so well for me so far, that's why I wanted to share it in this video. But for studying, I think everyone has their own different method, and not 100% of people will find success with the method I'm about to show you. But I think you can give a good starting point for people who think they've reached a dead end in their kanji study. So yeah, let's get into it. So first of all, you need your study material, of course. This is essential. Today I'll be using the Shinkansen Master Kanji for the JLPT N1. Personally, I like how this textbook is laid out, and the fact that it doesn't have any English is actually something I am looking for in a Japanese textbook. So yeah, I think this is a good one. If you're studying for the N1, I do recommend this series of textbooks. Next, I will be using the iPad Pro here. Obviously, you don't need this. You can make do with just, any computer or smartphone even. But basically, this gives me key access to two things that we're going to need. One is a flashcard application. The other is a Japanese dictionary application. In fact, you don't even need a flashcard application. You can just use paper flashcards if that's kind of your thing. Okay, and finally, of course, we have our pen of choice. I'm using a Pilot Friction pen. Alright, so first I'm going to describe the applications that we're going to be using. If you're on iPad OS or iOS, I do recommend that you use something called Shirabe Jisho. This is the application here. I do recommend this one. It has some really good features, and we'll make use of some of those features to kind of speed up and optimize our studying. So if you have an Android phone like me, you can also use Jisho, which is my dictionary application of choice. It's also quite simple and pretty easy to use, and this history function of your past searches is really helpful. Will be something you can use to mimic what we're going to do using Shirabe Jisho shortly. And finally, if you're using a desktop or laptop to do your kanji studying, then I do recommend jisho.org. This is a really nice dictionary website, and it's really easy to use. You just type in English or Japanese and it'll give you results. Also, it has some extra features that you can use, as you can see here. So please explore this one if you're using a computer to study. And the next thing you're going to need is a flashcard application. What I recommend is Quizlet here. It's a pretty standard flashcard application, but it has some nice features. You can use it for free. You can basically create any kinds of sets for studying, as well as folders of those sets. So it's just a really good way to organize and create your flashcards. Of course, it's also available on Android, so you can open up the Quizlet app on your Android phone and use it in exactly the same way as you would on the iPad or iPhone. And finally, you can just go to Quizlet.com if you're using a laptop or computer, and you'll get all the same functionality here. So I wanted to point out a couple of the key features of this textbook that we're going to be making use of, but whatever your textbook of choice is, you can kind of adapt these to your own study style. So if we look at this page that I'm going to be studying here, we can notice that there's about 15 to 20 kanji per page, and this one has 3 different columns here. So you can notice there's the kanji here, hiragana, as well as a example sentence. So I kind of like that it doesn't have the English translation directly here, because I can make looking up and understanding the definition part of my learning process. And also this book has some interesting pictures or activities you can do to help test your knowledge afterwards. And At the end of each set of vocabulary or kanji, it has tests as well, so you can test your knowledge. This is another really great step to take in your study. Alright, so now that we have all our materials and applications laid out here, let's get into how I structure my study session and all the steps I go through. Alright, so today I'm going to be studying this section here, number 9, which is nouns, in particular for tools. Okay, so I will be studying these 15 kanji right here. Okay, the next thing we're going to want to do is open up our dictionary application. What I'm going to do is first look at this list of kanji here. I'm going to type each one into my Japanese dictionary, and then we'll go from there. So first, I'm not going to pay too much attention to the definition. I'm just going to type it in so that I'll have it in my search history easily accessible. After I type in each definition in Shirabejisho, I'm tapping on the word itself, and that brings up the definition here. And right now that's not so important, but the more important thing is that I will be able to access the history here and then easily see the words that I searched. So that's why I'm just typing it in and tapping for this first step. Okay, so I finished typing in these 15 kanji here. Now, as I mentioned before, we can look at our history, and boom, so we have our 15 kanji right on the side here, and we'll be able to access the definitions at will very easily here. We're going to look at each definition, and we're going to write it down in our textbook, or if you have a notebook for this purpose, that's fine too. I do recommend, if there are some example sentences here, that you can first read the example sentence, try to guess what the meaning of the kanji is, or the reading of the kanji is, and only after doing that, then looking at the definition on your dictionary. I've found that that helps me retain the kanji and learn it much more quickly if I'm trying to understand it in the context of the example sentence. If you don't have access to example sentences like this, then another possibility is searching on your dictionary. Sometimes it will have different example sentences at the bottom. Not the case for this particular word, but please look at your dictionary. So once again, I'm going to look at each example sentence, try to guess what the meaning is. If I don't understand, then I'm going to tap here, look at it, or double check my understanding, and then write it down here. So as you can see here, I finished writing all the English equivalents. Since this is finished, let's next go back to our Quizlet app here. So what you're going to want to do is create a new set here, and you can put the title. Alright, so that's my current set of kanji that I'm working on. And next, as you can see, we have terms and definitions. So for term, I will just write the kanji character here. I'll type that in, and then for definition, we're going to write the hiragana as well as the English meanings that you picked out. As you can see, I just typed in all the kanji terms first, and next we're going to write the definitions, and first we're only going to write all the hiragana readings. So what I recommend for this step is that you cover up the hiragana reading for each of the kanji, or you can just do it by looking at the kanji that you just typed in. I found that introducing this extra challenge here really helps me solidify my memory and improve my recall when I'm later continuing the study process. But you know, if you can't remember it after 2 or 3 seconds, just take a peek at it and type it in. Don't get hung up on this stage for too long. And I also like to use these example sentences as a clue, kind of, to both the reading as well as the English definition that we're going to work on later. Alright, excellent. So I just finished typing in the hiragana for each one of these. And notice that I added a dash after each one. We're just going to put the English after the dash here. So again, for this step, when you're writing the English definition, I recommend that you try to recall what it was before as you're putting it in, rather than just directly look at what you wrote down as the definition earlier. This extra challenge will help you retain the information more quickly, I found. And if you need a hint, often reading the example sentence will be enough of a hint to allow you to recall it without looking directly at the definition. So let's try. So actually I was able to remember most of the words without looking at what I wrote down, which is a great first step, but I did have to take a peek for a few of them. This is the final layout of how this looks, and with that you can just press done and select the language. So okay, so now we have our set completed, and as you can see, with a really tiny text on this iPad screen. And with Quizlet specifically, they have several different ways you can test your knowledge. And what I like to start off with is this match one. So this is just a simple matching game. You have different cards with the kanji or the reading / definition. Suzu, awa, fue. This is Utsuwa, and this is Tsutsu. Okay, so yeah, the first time was a little bit slow, that's fine. So you can just play again, and I recommend you keep doing this until you can do it in about 10 to 12 seconds. I found is kind of the sweet spot for me. If you're able to consistently do it in 10 to 12 seconds with minimal errors, then I think you're good enough to move on to the next stage. So I'm just going to practice this for a bit. Alright, so as you can see, I was able to do it in 8.5 seconds, so I'm feeling pretty confident with this set now. So next, what you're going to want to do is go to the flashcards. And for this one, we can go to more options and change it to show the Japanese first, because we're learning kanji. So the kanji is going to show up here. I'm going to try to read it from memory. So I think this is Suzu. So we can tap it. Oh, and there's Suzu. So I was correct. Since I was correct, I can swipe it to the right here. That means I got it. Oh, I don't remember this one. Ami? Oh, it's Tsuna. Okay, so I got this one incorrect, so let's swipe it to the left. So now that we reached the end of that study, we can go to continue studying. All right, and now the ones that we swipe to the left are going to show up again. So we can try again. I think this one was Tsuna. Oh, nice. Oh, sweet. Okay. So let's just try the last one again. So this is Kane, right? Oh, great. Okay, so nice. We can reach our congratulations. And you can do this as many times as you want until you're feeling comfortable and you can consistently get all swipes to the right. All right, and kind of the last step I like to do to really make sure that I understand these kanji is I'll just cover the hiragana readings in my textbook, and I'll just try to go through the kanji and try to read them as quickly as I can, getting the correct reading with no mistakes. So I'm probably not going to be able to do it the first few times, but after a few practice rounds, you can find that you can just go right down the list and consistently get it. Kagami Dana. Okay. Wow, so yeah, I was able to get most of them there, but as you can see, I still had a few mistakes, but I've only been studying these kanji for about 10-15 minutes, so that should be fine. Okay, so mixing just reading, testing myself here with the readings as well as using flashcards and playing the matching game. I found that some combination of this within 5, 10, 15 minutes, depending on your level, you should be able to really pick up these kanji quite quickly. Another note I want to make is that after you have these sets created in your Quizlet account, you can just add them to a folder by going to the menu here. Add to a folder, and then you can create different folders for your different kanji sets or vocabulary sets. So I already created mine, N1 kanji meishi, or nouns, so I'm just going to add it there. And now when I open up my folders, I can just go straight here and access this one. And of course, as I continue to add other noun kanjis for this one and the following ones, I can just continue to add them to that folder and keep them all organized like that. Quizlet has a really nice functionality where you can actually study folders as a whole. So for example, these are different adjectives. So if I want to review all the adjective kanji that I studied before, I can just study the folder as a whole, and you can do the flashcards or the matching game that we were trying before, as well as a test option. Alright, so that's about it for the method of how I get these sets set up on my Quizlet, how I use my textbook to study the kanji and remember them well. One final note, and this is really something quite key, so listen closely. You need to revisit these sets and study them again at later times. By using spaced repetition systems, you've likely heard that phrase before, you can really get these stuck into your long-term memory after, maybe 1 or 2 weeks of studying, but you don't have to study every day. So I recommend you study this one today, you make sure you've got it down, and then revisit it again tomorrow. You can spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes, it can be a relatively short amount of time on the set, and by activating your memory again on this set tomorrow, you're going to be set for maybe a couple days. So you can space it out, maybe 1 day, 2 days, maybe half a week, maybe 1 week, and then eventually 2 weeks later. In my experience, after about maybe 2 weeks of doing this spaced repetition, you'll be able to store it in your long-term memory and you won't really forget it that easily. So whatever you need to do to remember to study these consistently, you can make a schedule on your phone, you can use a calendar, maybe you can just make a list in your notebook. Do what you need to do, but as long as you revisit these sets, you do your matching game, you do your flashcards, maybe you use your textbook and test yourself by covering the readings. Whatever you need to do, please do it, and I think you will have some real success with this method. Yeah, so hopefully you're able to get some ideas from seeing how I conduct my kanji study here. And if you have any experience as well with your different kanji studying techniques, please let me know down below. I think everyone would be interested to hear on different ideas about how to do this. Alright, so I just wanted to wrap up this video. First of all, if you made it this far, otsukaresama deshita. Nicely done, and yeah, I hope you were able to get something useful from it. Oh, and I didn't mention this earlier, but since Quizlet is available on pretty much any platform, the great thing about this is that you can just open up your sets that you created and study them whenever you have free time, maybe on your commute, maybe when you're taking a walk outside, walking the dog, maybe you're going to the supermarket. So yeah, it's a really great way to work in that 5-10 minutes of spaced repetition review, and as long as you keep doing that, honestly, I think you're going to be in great shape. And another thing I wanted to note was that using this method on a good day, sometimes I'm able to study about 3 sets or so of about that many kanji that I covered today. So that adds up to about 40, 50, even 60 kanji in one day. So this is definitely possible. On those days, maybe I'm studying for about 2 hours, just focusing on kanji. By the end of that study session, I feel really confident that I actually am able to recall all the kanji, the reading. Note that I'm not practicing writing here. That's not really my focus. I want to be able to read more. Right now, I just want to be able to recognize these, read it accurately, and get the meaning. So yeah, 60 kanji in one day. If you look at it like that, studying 2,000 kanji is not that big of a deal. And since, studying kanji is probably the most time-consuming part of studying the Japanese language for almost everyone, and often is the least enjoyable for many people, I think it's great to get some kind of routine down like this, and you're able to just, go through it. You don't have to think, oh wow, I don't want to study kanji today because I don't know, how to approach it. So you can just do it consistently, get it done, and eventually it'll be done, and you'll feel fantastic when it's all finished. Yeah, so if you found anything of value from this video, please consider leaving a like on it, so that other people will be able to find it and use it as a resource. I've been studying Japanese for a really long time, so I do have a lot of ideas about what kind of content I want to make on this channel. If you're interested in continuing your Japanese studies at any capacity, please consider subscribing. I think I'm going to have a lot of good stuff lined up in the future. Yeah, and finally, if you have any comments of your own or advice you want to share with other people studying Japanese, please leave them in the comment section below. I'll be reading everything and responding. So yeah, I'd love to hear what you guys think, and maybe some success stories if you start using this method. I think that would mean a lot to me. So yes, I hope to see you soon, and yeah, ja, mata ne.